Hello everyone, my name is Barbara and I would like to welcome you all to our latest Novedge webinar episode. This week, enjoy a presentation on Bluebeam Revu Mac. Bluebeam Revu Mac delivers foundation PDF markup, editing and collaboration capabilities to Mac, uniting project teams across Windows and iOS operating systems. Learn more about Revu Mac's full list of features and how to enhance your digital workflows. Today's Meredith Jung is an application specialist at Bluebeam Software, where she advises a variety of companies and organizations on best practices for streamlining their workflows with Revu. Prior with working at Bluebeam, Meredith specified and installed audiovisual system for a specialty contracting firm. This real-world experience helped her understand the obstacles faced by project teams trying to meet tight deadlines and budgets, and she educates customers on how Revu resolves these challenges. So she's the person for you today. Novedge is one of the largest online stores for digital software, and we offer a huge assortment of software solutions that cater to virtually every designer's needs. Put us to the test and come visit our webpage at novedge.com. For more daily software news and limited time promotions, also pay a visit to the Novedge blog and follow us on Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. Coming up next webinar is on Autodesk and their industry collections. Last but not least, today's webinar is free and is being recorded live. And if you want to rewatch it, you just head on over to Novedge's YouTube or Vimeo channel. And now, without further ado, I'm going to pass the word and screen to Meredith. Take it away, Meredith.
Great. Thank you so much, Barbara, and thank you so much to Novedge, one of Bluebeam's gold partners, meaning that they're providing top-notch service and support for customers. So great way to go for Bluebeam products. My name is Meredith Jung. As Barbara mentioned, I'm an application specialist here at Bluebeam, and today as we talk about Revu Mac, I'm going to introduce you both to the features within the software and how they can be used to streamline your workflows day to day. Now at Bluebeam, we really do believe that pushing the limits of digital collaboration in the world's most document-intensive industries should be a goal of everyone, especially because when we do it, we really strive to help you do what you do better as you do it. So we are trying to make digital collaboration and the document-intensive work that you do in the architecture, engineering, construction, or oil and gas space much easier, and to streamline the way that you are communicating with other people on your projects. Revu Mac is the new way for you to operate your paperless workflows, taking paperless workflows not just to an iPad in the field, but also to the Mac in your office. Now with Revu Mac, we have several features that really help to streamline a variety of workflows throughout the life of your project, from the point at which you have to review your designs at the very beginning, through the point at which you're responding to RFIs and submittals, and going straight out through the end of the project and facilities management. How do we get the right document set for everybody to work on? Those you're going to see today in Revu Mac include a very intuitive interface that is easy to use and very simple to navigate. It also has markup and measurement tools to take care of all of your annotation needs. Whatever the comment is you need on the page, we can get that onto the page in a way that makes sense for you and your project partners. Then we can edit documents and really take those documents to the next level with very simple document editing tools that are incredibly easy to use. We can overlay pages. We can see differences in pages as they go through. And we can use Bluebeam Studio to take all of the functionality that we see and to really collaborate on and do all of these processes from the cloud. So we will talk about all of this today. We're going to focus a lot on the markup and measure section because there's a lot of tools that are built in for tracking, doing custom markups and measurements, and working with that data and doing more with that data. So with that, let's go ahead and get into Bluebeam Revu Mac and see it in action. Because ultimately, slide decks are boring. Software is fun. So what you'll notice here, for those of you who are a little bit familiar with the interface, you may recognize this. But even if you're not, you'll probably recognize that it's a very simple interface. Along with all of your regular Mac drop-downs that you've got at the top here, the usual here within the Mac interface, we've also got some side panels. As you noticed, I got one open on the left, one on the bottom, one on the right. We've got a variety of toolbars that are here on the right-hand side, and then we've got a variety of commands here across the top. Now the commands that you see across the top are laid out based on these different menus across the top. So a lot of the functionality that you use will either be found in the toolbars, straight here on the command bar, or in these side panels that I mentioned. That being said, those features could also be found in the normal Mac menus if you prefer to work that way. Again, we don't want to change the way that you work, we want to help you do what you're doing better. Now, for today, I'm going to start in a very specific feature, and if you're looking for some of the specific features in the side panels, this tabs under View will help you to find them. And the one I'm looking for in particular is File Access. File Access tracks all of my most recently used files so that I can easily recover them at any point. So if I was working on something before lunch, for example, I was looking on the first floor plan, and I had before lunch, I closed down Review for lunch, went out, came back, I could open that document back up, no problem. Heck, it could be a couple days later, and it doesn't matter how long that file path is. So you notice I've got a pretty long file path for this particular file. It's not an issue. Review just remembers that most recent one, and I can access it with just a click. Once I'm in the document, navigating the document is very straightforward, and same with my specifications. So here I've got an 8.5 by 11-inch spec sheet, and you'll notice that my spec sheet, very simple, scrolls just the way that you would expect it to. Again, for the scroll wheel, just a click and drag, very simple to get around the document. With the large format plan though, Review is actually smart enough, if you've got the scroll wheel, to actually know that you want to zoom in and out. So here I go, I zoom in, I'm going to zoom out. Let me actually move my mouse. I'm going to zoom in on this corner of the building. So there it is, that north exit stair. Where my mouse is where it zooms in, and a click to pan. Very easy to get around. If you don't have a center scroll wheel, there's pan and zoom tools here. So here's the pan tool, here's a zoom tool. I can select a region and zoom that way as well, or come back out, just coming down here. But with the pan and zoom on my mouse, very simple to navigate these documents, just like you would navigate them in any design program. One of the great things about Review and the way it's built is that it's built for a lot of the work that we do day to day. And one of the most common things that we do day to day is we have to look at multiple documents at once, right? You're comparing the plan against the specifications that have been offered for the concrete pour and the baggage claim, right? So what should the reinforced concrete look like? Okay, I can easily zoom out on that, get a better view here, and now come down exactly where I need to be and look at exactly the information that I need. Same thing, let's say that we had a revision. So I'm going to open revision 1 of this document. So here I am, I've got revision 1 here, and I've got the original on the other side. And I'm just looking for differences between the two drawings. And so far, looks pretty good, but I don't really have a synced view, so I'm really not looking at the exact same stuff on both sides. With a quick click down here of my sync button, now both of these views are synced. So as I go around, I can notice, oh look, they've decided to remove the lobby and one of the offices in this office space. Looks like they wanted some more open space here in the airport office area. So I can easily see those differences, and as I'm navigating around, the view on both sides changes, whether I'm zooming or panning. One of the really cool things that we can do here is we can actually overlay these documents. So let's say I didn't realize where this change was going to be. I couldn't find it. The easiest would be to come into Document and to click Overlay Pages. So we will take our first floor reference plan. Let's add in our open files, and we'll just remove that spec and click OK. And now Review is actually overlaying those two pages. It's taking one, converting it to one color, putting the other one in a different color. And now we can see right down here are all the different colors. Okay? And that shows the differences. So here's the original, and you can tell where the line on that original is now compared to the revision. Right? We were over in that corner, and I was certain that there were no changes over there, but clearly that wall's been moved out. So overlay made it very easy for me to see exactly where those changes had been made between the original and the revision. Very simple process there. So let's talk now. We've talked a bit about navigating files, being able to split the screen and see a lot of different information, but ultimately what you guys are going to be doing day to day, and I know I did it for quite a while day to day, is reviewing documents and making sure that everything is able to be constructed in the way that it's designed, or that it's up to code, it's up to spec. Okay? It's an arduous job that someone has to do. And typically, for those of you who've been working with paper, even with emails, or with paper, it's a pretty time-consuming task, right? What do we do when we have to review something? We pull out our trusty red pen, and let me actually get a pen tool, right? We've got markups for everything, so take out a trusty red pen, circle the area the issue is in, and then like write it. So we could write down anything there. I could pick a text box. But suffice it to say, we did this all in red pens. It was all on paper. We were shipping things back and forth, and it was time intensive. It took us several days to get everyone's comments, and then we all had to drive across town, assuming the project was in town, to talk about all of the comments that had been made. Or we had to set up a GoToMeeting or a WebEx so that we could actually see what was going on the page and talk through all of those changes. With Review, we've got a variety of tools that streamline that process of doing those reviews. So the first thing right off the bat is that we can put any text that we want on the page. So let's say that we wanted to point out this issue here. This door needs more clearance because of the fact that it goes between the baggage area and the concession area, or circulation. We can say door needs bigger clearance. Make double door. Put that right there. And then maybe move it around somewhere with a little less text so it's easier to read. And then we would, for example, drop in a cloud. Let everybody know exactly where that issue is, so that it's very easy for someone else on the team to find it if they were just coming through the document. We could also highlight and circle issues. So for example, we could just highlight freeform, or we could highlight some text here. Variety of pen tools. We've also got a variety of lines, arrows, arcs. We can put what that dimension should be, right? The door needs a bigger clearance, maybe make it a double door, or maybe really that clearance just needs to be, 5 feet. So we can designate what we need that clearance to be and then pull that out. So that clearance needs to be 5 feet. So designating what we want the clearance for the door to be. As we're going through the document and reviewing it, we can even drop images right onto the document. So let's say that we found an issue, maybe this is not during a review, constructability review or design review, Maybe this is actually during construction. We were out walking in the field and we realized that this particular corner of the break room has a crack in it, right? So we've got a crack in the corner of the break room. Well, that's a problem. Clearly, someone did not do their job well. I'm going to use a tool called the Cloud Plus. It combines that call out in the cloud I used earlier. So, crack in wall. And then even better, let's just take that photo and put it in. Now, if you were on an iPad or if you had your Mac with you in the field, you could take that picture using the camera. I'm actually going to come into my documents here and pick out my image, and I'm going to pick out the image of the wall issue there. Open that up and just drop it down. So there we go. Big fat crack on the wall. Don't know why they painted that wall pink either. Not necessarily the best for that kind of room. But as I zoom out here and just give that a shrink, now we've got that wall crack, and I'm just going to pick an arrow as well and draw the arrow right there. So easily communicating the information about where issues are in a visual way, which is the way we're used to working with this, right? We're used to seeing these things visually. So let's communicate them visually as well on the page. So there's a variety of markup tools that you can use to communicate your information exactly as you need to, whether you're using notes to type really long information or you're just using a simple Cloud Plus to just cloud a region and put a quick note. When we talk about markup tools, I also like to talk about measurement tools, because in addition to being able to put static markups like this, where they are just information that we're adding to the page, we can also do markups that are based on the scale on the page and allow us to then measure, and that's the measurement markups. So they're sort of a type of markup. They sit on the page very similarly, and they allow us to take measurements of everything we see here. So to start with, I'm going to calibrate this document. I'm going to pick 2 known points. So just as an example here, I've got 8 feet 11 inches between the 2 hash marks here. So we'll go ahead and pick that. Oops, and would help if I didn't click so quickly. So there is our measurement. And by the way, that straight line I get, that straight line there, is because I'm holding my shift key. So that's 8 feet 11 inches. And now let's take a reference measurement anywhere on the page. So let's do, this should be, if I do this right, 4 feet 6 inches. So once again, just going to hit shift. And looks like my accuracy is so accurate that it's actually 4 feet 6 1/8 inches, but pretty close to 4 feet 6 inches. Looks like we're not measuring 1/8 inches. The lowest we go is 1/4 inch. So I'm sure that our system just rounded down when we created the design. But close enough for me. We're really good there. So let's go ahead and measure some of these rooms. Now, there's measurement tools here in the software for pretty much anything that you could think to measure. So you could be measuring perimeter, you can do square footage and volume, you can take cutouts. So let's do some square footage here. I am going to take the square footage of this room. You'll notice how the software actually snaps to all of the corners here, right? It's looking at the PDF content and it's coming right out and finding right where those corners are so that we get a really accurate measurement, even though I'm trying to click my way around all of the corners of this room. And that, my friends, is a very accurate measurement of that room. Okay. Now the other thing that we can do here is we can actually click and drag. So we've got a square room over here. I can click and drag for that square room. Now one of the things I haven't introduced yet that I probably should introduce to you all is the concept of right click. Right click gives us a lot of options within the software. It pulls up a lot of different things that we can do. For example, adding a control point if we missed a corner and wanted to bring it out, or actually converting a section to an arc. So I can convert this to an arc over here, and now what you'll notice is that is a rounded corner there. And as I move the arc, right, you'll notice that the measurement changes. Same thing works with those cutouts. If I throw that cutout into this room, you'll notice that the measurement changes. A lot of flexibility for our takeoffs allows us to get a very accurate takeoff of exactly the information that we need. In addition to being able to do measurements that are based on the scale of the page, we can also count things. So for example, if I zoom out here and I come in on our bathroom down here, I can go ahead and count all the sinks in the bathroom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very simple. I can also use radius here to make sure that the family bathroom has clearance for wheelchair accessibility. So here we go, pull from the center out. That might be a little big. We'll pull that back in a little, and looks like we are still good to go. Okay. So very simple to get exactly the information that we need. Perfect. So there we go. Smaller radius, plenty of room in that room. Now, as we're going through the document and making all these changes, one of the things you probably noticed is that all of these changes are being made in red, right? Very similarly to the red pens that we used. And that's great if just one of us is editing this document. But at the end of the day, we work on teams, right? I don't know of anyone who's constructed a building on their own, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So the question is, when we're building, when we're reviewing designs, when we're designing, and we're working on teams, how do we know who said what? How do we keep track? How do we get that accountability? And how do we make it easy for everybody else to tell who said what, when they said it, things of that sort? There are two crucial tools in Revu that are going to help us with that. The first one that I'm going to show you is the tool chest, and it's based on this concept of customizing markups. So I'm going to pick this Cloud Plus markup again. I'm going to zoom in a little more on it so it's easy to see as I edit it. Again, I can right-click to access any of this information, and right now I'm going to right-click to access the Properties tab, which sits in the right panel typically. From here, what I can do is I can edit the properties of this Cloud Plus tool so that they're unique to me or a discipline. So for example, maybe this comment here, crack in the wall, this is a general contractor comment. General contractor is going through reviewing and finding issues in the field. And maybe the color for that, and I know I'm Bluebeam, I'm a little partial to blue. We'll do some blues here. I'm going to put a fill opacity on that as well, so it's very easy to see through and tell what that markup is. Now this down here, we can also do that with the attached callout, so I'm going to use that same coloring. I'm not going to worry about a fill color, but I'm going to change that text color as well. So it's very noticeable that the properties on this, it's not red, right? It'll be very easy to see. It'll stand out on the page. Okay. Now, same thing here. Let's say we go down, maybe down here. This is actually a comment about accessibility. So let's give it a different subject. So this will be accessibility. We'll give it a different color so it's very easy to tell apart. We'll give it a nice green. Let's do a nice fill opacity there. And then as we go through, we will make that text color dark green too. Very easy to see right there. And actually, let's make that fill color a lighter green, just so it's easier to tell apart. There we go. And we'll do the same thing with the cloud. Now, I could be doing this for multiple markups at once with a click. So I could click through and select multiples to give them all the same appearance. Okay. But as you can see here, as we do this, this will also be accessibility. And now it's very easy to tell that those comments have been made by the consultant for accessibility on this project versus the comments that were made, for example, by the general contractor. Two people who probably wouldn't be working at the same time on the project, but just a concept that we can be really breaking these out and identifying them differently. The same thing goes for the takeoffs, right? I mentioned they were markups. They can also be customized. So here's our takeoff tools, right? Here's the elevator shaft. Maybe this is the concrete pour. So subject, or let's just say this is metal plating or metal flooring. For that elevator room, probably should have measured something that actually had real flooring on it, but we'll go with metal flooring here. Let's make that orange just for fun. We'll add an orange fill to it. We're going to highlight it, which means it shows up that really bold, vibrant color, but you can see through. And even better, what we're going to do here on the appearance here is also give that text color a little bit of pizzazz and show all of the measurements that are related to it. Ooh, that text color does not show up well. Let's pick black. There we go. Black. So there we go. A little hard to see the measurements where they are in it, but all of the measurements that are related to that, the area, volume, wall area, and length, all showing up there. Let's see this room, the electrical room, is concrete flooring. That one we know. Flooring. It's pretty typical for an electrical room. And we'll change the color on that one as well. And this one, let's make this one purple, just because we can. That's the fun thing here. There's a lot of different colors we can choose from. We can use that highlight again, and we can also get that dark purple on the text, and that also doesn't show up. We'll make that one black as well. Show on measurements. We could even show the center point there if we wanted to. But again, very easy to see what's going on and what kind of measurement that is. Now what you may be asking me now is, great, I've customized these. You said I can multi-select and customize them. But what if I had another room that needed that exact same concrete flooring, right? And I just wanted to do a takeoff of the concrete flooring for that room. Well, I have some great news for you. You can reuse this markup without having to change your defaults. So here's the default, right? You know that your default here is just this red and white. But if you come into the feature called the tool chest, you can now go through and actually reuse that electrical markup there. So I'm going to right click. Now this shows up in my recents, so I've got it available here, and I can click on it here and pull it out that way. Maybe the vestibule has some concrete flooring. Or I can right click on it and add it to one of my tool chests. So for example, my tools, and take that measurement from here. I'm just measuring gibberish at this point, but there's a lot of great places that could be measured here with that exact same electrical measurement. Same thing, so let's come over this way. Let's say the bathroom also needs that, right? Now, if I wanted to, I could double click and I could get an exact replica. Not useful here, but I'll show you how that's useful with the Cloud Plus and callout we placed earlier. But again, I can click and drag and just pull out that measurement. And I can have an entire grouping of measurements like the demo estimating tools I've got here. So these are a variety of different tools pre-created by my team. They were sent to me. It's just a click here of a blue gear wheel and an export that gets those tools sent to me. I double-clicked on them. They opened in Review Mac here. And now, when I need, for example, carpeting for some of the baggage service area, I just pick the carpet tool and I drag and drop it on the page. And I apologize. I've got the little spinning wheel of fun. Clicking a little fast. We'll give that a second. Here we go. Looks like that spinning wheel has disappeared at this point. So at this point, I can choose that carpeting tool and drag and drop it right on the page. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, one of the coolest things about this tool chest is the fact that we can take exact replicas of the comments that we have down on the page and use them again. So for example, if one of the issues I come across regularly is a crack in the wall, I can add this to my tools or any of the tool sets we've got here, right? So here's my tools, and now I can place an exact replica of that comment. Where this becomes really cool is, for example, if you guys work on the punch process, right? Going through using symbols to identify issues in various corners and areas, you could have that symbol library built up here. Same thing, like we've got quite a few built-in symbol libraries that are available and ready for you to use. So you can really get up and running and just start dropping markups on the page very simply with all the information that you want in that. Now, as I mentioned, I mentioned that there were two ways to be able to see who's done what on this document set, right? We talked first about changing the colors and changing those properties, right? So my crack in the wall here, remember if we open our properties panel, that crack in the wall there was from the general contractor. And same thing, my green comments were accessibility. And looking at the page, someone would easily be able to see that information there. But let's say that they wanted to see additional information about that markup. So for example, who actually placed that markup? So not just what team is it assigned to, but who actually placed it and what time and date did they place it on. Well, all that information is tracked here in the bottom of the interface in what's known as the markups list. So give that a drag out. And what you'll see here in the markups list, the markups list is tracking every single markup on this document. It's got the page that that markup is on. So as I come through, you'll see the page. When I click on it, it jumps to that markup on the document. And you'll notice that those subjects become really helpful now, right, as we're looking and sorting by those subjects there. Just going to pull my status closed a little bit and show you how the date here, we've got the date and the time for all of these markups. So as we count through, we can see them. You'll notice in the comments, all of the measurements are there. There's actually a variety of additional measurement fields that we can turn on here so that we can see additional columns. So for example, let's say that we wanted to actually see the area for that room. There's the area now for all of those rooms, really easily spelled out. So a variety of information here that we can turn on and off depending on what we're looking for. So we can take that off. We can take, for example, the area off as well, and pare this list down to something that's just a little shorter. I'll take off the depth too. There we go. So really nice and clean look at the information that's on this page. Now, we can sort by any of the columns that you see here, and we can filter by them. And where that becomes really important is when we start working with other people. So one of the great things with Revu is Revu was designed with collaboration in mind and with the workflows that you do day to day in mind. And coming back to design reviews, constructability reviews, and that team aspect, one of the things that happens is we send the email out or we send the paper out, and someone's got to compile all of those comments on a single master copy. In Revu, the process of compiling all those comments, it's very easy. It's this import comments button. So I'm going to click it, and I'm going to come into my import comments folder, and I'm going to pick comments from the architect, contractor, and engineer during a review. And what you're going to notice, I'm going to go full page on this, is that we've got a bunch of new comments on the page. As I come down into the corner here, you'll notice that I've got some comments in purple, some comments in a really nice shade of blue, even better than the one I picked, and comments in teal, right? And each of these comments, as I click on them, you'll see these are contractor comments, these are engineer comments, and for this last one, here's our architect comments. So very easy to tell who said what on the page, also very easy to tell who said what and when they said it here in the markups list. So for example, the architect made their comments all the way back in December of 2015. We are clearly behind the ball on this project, right? But all of that information is being tracked, okay? Now, the architect said we needed to add guardrails per the ADA guidelines for automatic opening doors. And that's probably important. So for the status here, maybe I'm on the design team, we're doing that review, and I'm going to accept that we need to make that change. And what you'll notice here is my name, the date, and the timestamp. Same thing as we go over to responsibility, I can also now assign this to someone. So I'm going to assign this to my colleague Steve, who's on the design team, and ask him to go ahead and fix this to make sure that we've got the guardrails that meet those ADA guidelines there. Let's say Steve came back, he already fixed it. He sent me the new plans, it looked good. I could then set the next status and say that this is a completed task. And you'll notice, once I set that as completed, the date and the timestamp again. Right? So very powerful functionality, and these will just continue to stack. So completed, I can cancel it, I can reject it. Everything has that date, everything has the timestamp, and everything has the name. So complete accountability. Now I mentioned that responsibility, we could set responsibilities for multiples of these. Maybe Steve's in charge of all of these, adding banister details and labeling the equipment as well. Steve's got a lot of work to do. And maybe I want to make this very easy for Steve so that when he sees this, he knows exactly what is his to take care of, and he's not thinking about all the other markups that are currently on this page. I can filter this list for Steve. Maybe I filter it so that just the architecture comments are showing. So here's my filter by architect comments. And you'll notice I'm going to go full screen again. Everything that is not a comment by the architects has been grayed out, which makes it a little easier to see these blue comments here on the page, right? There it is in gray, there it is in blue. And even better, I can then sort by Steve's responsibility or even filter so that all Steve is going to see is the architect comments that apply to him. So if he's supposed to be fixing it, he'll be the one who sees it. And if he's not supposed to be fixing it, then he won't see it on the page. Right? So very easy to see exactly what he needs to work on. Take this the next step further. Steve needs a task list. Well, let's make him a task list. All of the information that is here in the markups list can be exported to CSV for use in Excel. So all of the measurements that we took, we can turn all those columns back on, export all of that information to Excel, and put it into our existing bid sheets, right? So with our takeoffs, it's very easy now to do estimation because we can take all of that data straight out of the markups list and immediately start working on it in Excel for our bid sheets. We can also come through and we can create a PDF summary. And that PDF summary is really cool because what it does is it appends to the current PDF and creates hyperlinks so that Steve can easily find where it is on the page. So let's go ahead and title this Steve's Task List. And I'm just going to click OK with the default settings. It's appending this PDF to my document and creating the hyperlinks. And as I close this down, I'm actually going to come into View tabs in the Thumbnails tab. I do want to show you, here we go, that we have this report here. And as I come into the report, I can scroll through the report look at the documents, okay? And maybe Steve was wondering, what room are those banister details supposed to be added in? Steve could click on the image and it would jump him right to that spot on the page. He could then zoom out. So as I go ahead and zoom out here, you'll notice, and zoom back in, you'll notice exactly where that is there down by the lobby. So very easy for Steve to get around and to see exactly where that information is on the page. So those are all of the markup tools inside of Revu. And I mentioned, I'm just going to come back to the slide deck real quick for you guys, right? As we look at the tools here, right, and the features, right? These are those markup and measure features. So let's look now at document editing. I already showed you overlay pages and how we can really view those overlays. The document editing tools that we're going to look at right now are really best seen when we've got a large document set. Now, this is comparatively small. It's only 48 pages, so nothing huge or even large by most of our project standards. But what you'll see here, as I come back into that thumbnails tab, is that we've got all of our pages here available to be viewed very simply in the thumbnails tab. So here's all 48 pages of this document. And it takes just a second for the preview of those pages to load up. As we're going through, if we wanted to work on these pages and we had a mouse with a right-click button, we could right-click and work on those pages. So for example, we can insert some blank pages or existing pages, rotate or replace pages. And we could also do them from the edit bar up top and the document bar. Okay, so we've got a couple of different ways that we can come through and really edit these documents. Now, one of the cool ones, we've got all of the headers and footers our heart could desire. So if you're working on documents and you have headers and footers that your company typically puts onto the documents, you can do that from here and you can apply it to all of the pages. So it doesn't just have to be page 2 here. We can choose whichever page we want, apply it all over the document. The other thing that we can do here is we can review some of the text in the document. Now this looks really great when we're working with the specs, right? So we had our spec sheet here. Let's come into that spec sheet and do a text review. Maybe we want to remove some text as indicated on the drawings or otherwise required for a complete job. We're not going to need and proper. We can cross that out right there. And actually with this spec, any of the markup tools would work, but some of these are built specifically for the job, right? Squigglies, underlines, and strike throughs. Another thing we can do, coming back to our combined set here, or actually let's do this from the spec, let's insert a submittal template. Now, I know this is a spec, it's not necessarily a submittal, but if we had a template for the spec or we had a template for the submittal, we could insert that template in front. I know that I've got a submittal template form in a folder right here, so I'm just going to pull that up. But any template that we added that we wanted to add to the front, here's my submittal template form. I'm just going to add that before the first page. Click OK, and now that template form has been added, and we can just start typing and adding in information. Same thing, we could add in a blank page somewhere or replace a page. So let's take, I've actually got a great page here. Let's take page 3 here. And actually, even better, let's take our document with our comments. So here's my A1.1.1 that I've got with the comments. Okay. Let's say that maybe a revision of this document had been issued. I could right-click and I could replace the page content without replacing the markups. So coming into my airport project here, and actually, better yet, let's come into some revisions here. And one of my revisions here is A1.1.1. That's first floor reference plan here. As I go in to do that, I'm going to replace the page content only so that the markups stay but the revised page content goes over. Click OK, right? I've now just slip sheeted that document. So here it is. It's the same comments, but it's a different document. And if I compared the revisions, you would see them. And actually, you can see the guardrails looks like maybe they weren't added. But you can see that some changes have been made to this document. So just one of the cool things that you can do there, a little bit of slip sheeting on the document. And then, of course, we can take care of some very common editing that you would typically do. Deleting pages, we can rotate pages around, so we can take this one clockwise or counterclockwise. We can redo all of the page labels here if we wanted to. Very easy to do, and we can do it with the right click or just with the drop down here, or again from document as well. So lots of ways to access the document editing functionality here. I already showed overlay pages earlier, so the final feature that I'm going to show you today is to show you Studio. And Studio is always docked at the top of the command bar here. And Studio is your gateway into digital collaboration. Now, I know Novedge has done some webinars in the past on collaboration with Studio, and you can find those on their YouTube page. So you can definitely find that information with Novedge and really go in depth on Studio. Studio in Revu for Windows and Studio in Revu Mac work pretty much the same. So it's a very seamless way of looking at things. So it doesn't matter that you'll check out a webinar on Windows because it'll do the same stuff. But to give you an idea of what Studio does, Studio is a document-based digital collaboration tool. Everything's up in the cloud, hosted in the cloud, so that anyone can access it anywhere at any time. And it comes in two different flavors. The first flavor is Sessions, and this is real-time document-based collaboration. This can be done with everybody in the same session at the same time. It can be done with people coming and going as they wish. So for example, my colleagues Brian, Angela, and Amy have been working on this document set with me. And the way that you can tell they've been working on the document set is by coming through down here into the record. The record is like the markups list, except it tracks everything that's done on this project. Comments that are made, any chat windows, who came, who left, changes to status. Everything is tracked down here in the record. It's absolutely fantastic. And what you'll notice as I'm going through these track stuff is that there's a variety of markups on the page. My colleague Angela placed this one, and because she placed this one, you'll notice the control points are all grayed out. I can't edit her markup. She's got complete accountability, knowing that I can look at the comments that she makes, even if we're making them in real time, even if I'm an administrator, which I am, I own this session, right? I can't change any of her comments. I can ask her to change her comments, but I can't actually change them. On the other hand, I placed this particular comment about the AV wall and those AV specs. I actually placed it before she placed her comment about it, and she just neglected to read it. We were both working at the same time. We were literally 30 seconds from each other when we placed these markups. But what you'll notice here is that I am able to edit my markup, move it around. I could change the properties for it if I wanted to. Everything that I place on the page, I have full access to the complete customizability and all of the functionality in Revu. If I wanted to throw a new comment on that page right now, I could just come into those tabs, pull up my tool chest, and immediately start placing new comments right on the page, right? Crack in the wall, right there, dropped it right on the page. You'll notice it shows up in the record at the bottom, along with the edits I made. And I could also delete that. So take it right off the page, and as I delete it, it would note that it was deleted by me. I mentioned this can be done in real time. Angela and I worked on this in real time. And again, it can also be done at people's own time. So if you're working with project partners, for example, in Asia, and they get on at a later time than you do, it's not a problem. They'll see the comments you made during the day, and then they can make their comments and move on. Another great thing about Studio Sessions is that you don't need an internet connection once you've initially connected. So if you're out in the field, Studio Sessions does work on the iPad with the Revu iPad or the View iPad app, and you're out in the field and you lose your internet connection. Why, yes, I would like to work offline. My internet connection is gone. I'm just going to place a cloud on the page. What you'll notice with that cloud is it shows up in my pending section. Now when I go back online, it uploads back into the cloud, and there we are. That is now no longer in the pending, it's in my record. So very easy to add comments, and there's complete accountability, and of course the complete faith that should something happen, you will be good to go because you can lose internet and continue working. So that is Studio Sessions. I'm going to leave the session, and I'm going to go into a Studio Project. Now, Studio Projects is a lightweight document management system on the cloud. This document management system can store any type of file that you can think to put in it. So, for example, if I come into my specifications folder, I have my PDF specs, but I've also got my Word specs. And if I right-click on any one of them, I can check it out, I can open it in Word, edit it, and check it back in. As long as you've got a host program for the file, you can open that file. This is just the place where it's being stored. Now, one of the great things with Studio Projects and with the edits is that everything that's done on those documents is tracked in what's called the revision history. So, for example, a 1.2.1 has quite a bit of revision history. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to see what's going on with this document. And what you'll notice when I check out that document and open it up, again, I could look at it without checking it out. I could just double-click and open it. But I wanted to comment, and it looks like there's an open and closed RFI here. And it's good to know someone placed that on the page, and I can now go ahead and edit it if I wanted to. So it's not locked like in Studio Sessions, but if I edit it again, we'd be able to go back into that revision history and open a previous revision and see what that previous revision looked like. We could even do an overlay with the previous revision just to see where those changes are. Now, I'm going to place a new comment here just to show you that we can. Again, all of the tools, I could be doing this from my tool chest. Remove elevator, or better yet, let's do change to freight elevator. Right. Put that comment on, check it back in, comment asked change elevator or to freight elevator. And now once I check it back in, it updates the copy on the server so that everybody who's looking at this on the server can see the newest version. And when I look into the revision history there, I now see that comment asked to change elevator to the freight elevator. So I can easily drag that out and see it better. And again, if I wanted to go back to that old revision, all I would do is I could open or I could restore it from here. Now, one of the things you might have noticed with that right click, and again, a lot of these right-click functions are available elsewhere. So if you don't have a right-click mouse, you don't need one. I use right-click because it's the fastest way to get anything done. And one of the ones you saw here, add to new session. So this could be pushed up into a Studio session and pushed back down. But the one that I like down here is this share link button. And share link removes the need for an FTP site. So once you share the link, whether that's for the lifetime of the project or 24 hours, you could require a password, flatten any markups. And when you click OK, you get a link that allows anybody to download this file without a Studio account. They don't need any access to this. They just download it. So very powerful functionality. One of the best things about Studio Projects is the security within Studio Projects. There's a variety of settings that can be changed, and the big one here is the folder permissions. Now, Studio, just so that you know, if you invite a collaborator to join you in Studio, maybe it's a contractor or a consultant, they can get into Studio for no charge. They don't need to own Revu Mac or Revu for Windows. What they can do is they can purchase software, or they can download a free 30-day trial, or they can download our free viewer, Bluebeam View, which is available for iPad, Mac, and Windows. And when they download that, they can get into your session or project. And once they're in your project, you might choose to only show them certain folders. So for example, we can add an individual attendee. My colleague Amy has joined me on this project. I can make it so that Amy cannot see any of the field reports for this project. So everything for this project would be, for example, read write. So everything that goes on, they'd be able to read write there, but she wouldn't see the field reports. And when I clicked OK, that would apply to her. Or maybe she could only read the RFIs. She couldn't actually edit them. So we can do quite a bit with the security settings there. So that is Studio. And with that, we are done with this presentation. I wanted to make sure I left time for us to go into Q&A because we promised you a live Q&A. As a quick note, perpetual licensing is $149 MSRP with optional maintenance at $29. There are volume discounts available, and Novedge is more than happy to provide you with that pricing. You can go onto their website and find it right away. If you were thinking of trading in or transferring an existing seat over to Bluebeam Mac, you can do that through Novedge as well. So just send them an email with your serial number and they can let you know if your license is eligible.
Absolutely.
With that, I do want to thank you all for coming and turn this back over to Barbara for, I believe she's got a couple slides there.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's see, let me take the screen back. And I wanted to ask, I prompt you for a question, but there aren't any questions so far. I think it's your fault, Meredith, because you made it look so easy. And yeah, so it's, I mean, Bluebeam is doing wonderful, and our customers keep coming back for more. That's all I have to say. Once you get that for yourself and your team, it's the best, purchase you'll ever make, guarantee. We love it. We all use it here, and for different reasons. We don't build, but there's something that anybody can use it. So, yeah, we'll leave a few seconds, for question. Okay, do you require a separate licensing for the fee for the iPad app?
Yes, so the iPad app is a separate application. It is only available through the Apple App Store at this time, but it's only $9.99, so it's not very expensive. And if you will be using it with studio projects or studio sessions, you could even get View, the free viewer, and access projects and sessions that way.
And it works like a charm. So yeah, that's it for question, Meredith. Thank you so much. And
thank you,
yes,
Barbara.
As Meredith told you, for more Bluebeam webinars, check out the Novedge YouTube channels. We have, a bunch of them, and there's we have over 200 webinars, and a good number of them are with Bluebeam's features and products. And come, I want to let you know that our next webinar will be with the Autodesk Industry Collection, and I also wanted to show you the page, how it looks on our website, where you can find Bluebeam Revu for Mac, but we have the entire line of Bluebeam products, and there's definitely one you need, and with, volume discounts. And if you have any doubt or you need any advice, just call us, our number, or email calvin@novedge.com is our man for Bluebeam, and is a superstar. So thank you again for joining us today, and thank you, Meredith, for your incredible expertise and your time. Looking forward to our next webinar together already. Bye-bye, everyone.
Sounds great.
Bye.
Thanks, Barbara.